awful and way too physical. Way too physical. The NBA allows physicality in the finals when the season's at the very end. But they want to keep their players healthy for the regular season and early rounds of the playoffs. Why hurt your content? Adam Silver in the league now. You get to the finals, that's a man's game. Wemby, good luck. The WNBA regular season is officiated like UFC. There's no eye gouging, but almost everything else. So, and she didn't have great communications with players, according to players. So last night, Caitlin Clark, there's a hand to her throat.
Something changed the instant that collision sent Caitlin Clark to the floor. It wasn't just the impact that ignited a firestorm, it was everything that followed. As fans, analysts, and former players erupted in outrage, Colin Cowherd delivered a blistering response, accusing the officials and the league of repeatedly turning a blind eye while Clark continued to absorb punishing hits. Was this simply the kind of physical play that comes with professional basketball, or was it another sign of a deeper issue that had been building for months? What unfolded next only intensified the controversy and fueled an even bigger debate across the basketball world.
We have a generational talent and a WNBA superstar who had 2 cheap shots right there that weren't called. And I just say again, absolutely unacceptable.
Steph, do you think that the league needs to look into how Caitlin Clark is defended or how she's officiated going forward?
I mean, we spent all offseason looking at officiating. All offseason. And I still say the one thing that we keep asking for is consistency.
For the past 2 years, the WNBA has been wrestling with a question that should have had one of the simplest answers in sports. Instead of putting the issue to rest, the league has allowed it to evolve into a constant source of controversy. What could have been a straightforward conversation has turned into an ongoing debate, one that resurfaces after nearly every major incident and grows louder with each passing game.
Paranoid, weird, insular league. And everybody, older golfers were a little annoyed and irritated when young Tiger Woods got all the love and all the coverage. But about, a couple of months later, they went like, hey, wait, the purses have gone up. We're all getting richer, and they got over it. They got over the Tiger thing pretty quickly. WNBA can't get over this. And people are very critical of commission.
How do you protect, support, and showcase the league's biggest star after yet another controversial moment involving Caitlin Clark? That question quickly became the center of the basketball conversation once again. As reactions poured in from every corner of the sports world, Colin Cowherd delivered one of his strongest commentaries yet, openly criticizing the handling of the situation and questioning whether the league had failed to address a growing concern. By the time he finished, fans and analysts alike were debating whether the WNBA had allowed a recurring controversy to become one of its own biggest challenges.
You don't have an 11-year, $77 billion contract. You are building the league. You just reached an incredible collective bargaining agreement. You understand they did a great job with that. The league is growing, and it's reaching some of its aspirations, no doubt, but there's still a lot more work to be done. Don't get in the way of the cash cow. You don't sit up there and pave a way for her and don't compete. Nobody's implying that. But you certainly ride that tidal wave of popularity and use it to your advantage to build the game, not compromise and hurt the game by taking her out.
What made Cowherd's remarks strike a chord with so many people was that they went beyond a single controversial call. He argued that the latest incident was just the newest example in a series of debates that have surrounded Caitlin Clark since the day she entered the league. In his view, the issue was no longer about one game or one officiating decision. It reflected a broader pattern that continued to spark criticism. His message was direct. The WNBA, he argued, has struggled to fully recognize and respond to the unprecedented attention and momentum Clark has brought to the league, allowing the same controversies to resurface time and time again.
They just keep driving into a wall at full speed with Caitlin Clark. They now have a commemorative poster of 30 years of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark's not on it. And it's not just like an ode to the veterans that started the league. Paige Beckers and Angel Reese are on it. And Caitlin Clark's not. You guys, when she broke into the league, You moved her road games to bigger arenas to accommodate the fans.
Comments like these carried extra weight because they came from a veteran sports broadcaster who has covered virtually every major league in America for decades. Throughout his career, Cowherd has often argued that successful commissioners understand one fundamental reality. When a player brings unprecedented attention, new fans, and greater visibility to a league, protecting the league's overall product becomes a top priority. His latest criticism arrived at a moment when emotions were already running high. During the Fever's game, another physical play involving Caitlin Clark quickly became one of the biggest topics on social media. Fans immediately began debating whether the officials had handled the sequence correctly, with many closely examining the replay and offering conflicting opinions about whether additional contact should have resulted in a different ruling. Almost instantly, the conversation shifted away from the basketball itself. Instead of breaking down offensive adjustments, defensive schemes, or the Fever's position in the standings, much of the discussion centered on officiating decisions. Slow-motion clips circulated across social media, with fans dissecting every angle and every frame, each convinced they had uncovered the decisive piece of evidence. It was another reminder of how quickly controversial calls can dominate the headlines, turning passionate basketball fans into instant replay experts overnight.
Saw last night with these two teams tangling in back-to-back games, because it got heated 3 days ago when I watched it, was absolutely unacceptable, egregious. Stephanie White used the word, and just unfortunate that, you know, a situation, two situations could go untethered, if you will, and the result was the result.
The internet reacted exactly as it always does after a controversial play. One replay was all it took for thousands of fans to become instant officiating experts, dissecting every frame as if they were reviewing evidence in a courtroom. Social media filled with slow-motion breakdowns, freeze frames, and competing opinions, each claiming to have found the definitive answer. Beneath all that online debate, however, lies a more meaningful question. Has the WNBA struck the right balance between allowing a physical style of basketball and ensuring player safety? That is where Cowherd focused his criticism. In his view, the issue is not that the league permits physical competition, but that its officiating has appeared inconsistent from one situation to the next. He argued that there is an important difference between hard, competitive basketball and avoidable contact that unnecessarily increases the risk of injury. To support his point, Cowherd referenced how other professional leagues manage similar challenges. Physical play has always been part of basketball, and star players have historically endured plenty of contact without expecting favorable treatment. At the same time, leagues generally recognize that protecting player health is also an important priority over the course of a long season. Cowherd argued that successful officiating requires finding a consistent balance, allowing intense competition while enforcing the rules in a way that promotes both fairness and player safety. In his view, that balance has become one of the central topics in the ongoing conversation surrounding the WNBA.
I think that there's a petty jealousy, and she's a straight white basketball player, and she is not being treated with any sort of respect whatsoever.
If you keep this stuff, there won't be no WNBA. Oh, wow.
That's the non-overreaction.
Yo, if Caitlin Clark said, you know what, man, I'm done, y'all. I'm going to take my rich, successful self somewhere else, it would be a wrap. What would they do? What would they do? If Caitlin Clark said, you know what, today I'm done with the WNBA, where would the WNBA be? It would be over.
Whether fans agree with Cowherd's comparison or not, it points to a broader concern. When post-game discussions become dominated by controversial officiating instead of memorable performances, the focus naturally shifts away from the basketball itself. Rather than celebrating elite shot-making, creative playmaking, or outstanding team execution, much of the conversation becomes centered on replay reviews, missed calls, and debates over how the game was officiated. Cowherd argued that this pattern has surfaced repeatedly in games involving Caitlin Clark. Instead of the headlines being driven by her passing, long-range shooting, or ability to change the pace of a game, the spotlight often turns to disputed whistles and controversial moments. Whether that perception is entirely fair or not, he suggested it is not the type of attention any professional league hopes to generate on a consistent basis. He also addressed another topic that had sparked discussion among fans: the WNBA's anniversary promotional campaign. The campaign featured several prominent stars, including Paige Buchers and Angel Reese, but Clark's absence quickly became a talking point across social media. Supporters of the campaign argued that it was designed to celebrate the league's broader history and multiple generations of talent rather than focus on a single player. Others questioned whether leaving out one of the league's biggest attractions was a missed marketing opportunity. Cowherd aligned with the latter viewpoint. His criticism was less about the artwork itself and more about what he viewed as a larger pattern of failing to fully capitalize on the league's most visible star. Rather than framing the issue as an emotional debate, he argued that it should be viewed through a business lens, pointing to the increased fan interest, television audiences, and overall attention surrounding the league as the foundation for his perspective.
What do you think of the play, the suspension, the reviews, all of it?
I just think it's so tough because the WNBA is physical. And when I think about a loose ball, I know that I've died at the bottom of some loose balls over the neck, but it happens so fast that I don't know. But for me, it was like, it's hard to distinguish a loose ball. Like, are you going to look at all the loose balls? Because, like I said, I've died a couple times on loose balls before. I'm not going to even hold you.
That's relatable because you were my vet. I was a rookie. On that same team was Alyssa Thomas. And as teammates, when there was a loose ball, I know I came up
Get out the way!
with Alyssa because when she sees red in those situations, she's going to do whatever it takes to try to get the
Since Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, the league has experienced a noticeable rise in attention. Indiana Fever road games have drawn larger crowds, with several teams moving those matchups to bigger venues to meet ticket demand. Television audiences have also increased for many of Clark's appearances, making her games some of the most watched broadcasts of the season. Those trends have fueled the broader conversation about her impact on the league's visibility and commercial growth. Building on those observations, Cowherd argued that the league should focus more on maximizing this surge in interest instead of allowing recurring controversies to dominate the headlines. Whether that assessment is entirely accurate remains a matter of opinion, but it reflects an ongoing debate about how the WNBA should balance competition, marketing, and player recognition. At the same time, the league's success extends well beyond one player. Aya Wilson continues to strengthen her legacy as one of the greatest players in WNBA history. Breanna Stewart remains among the sport's most complete and accomplished stars, while Nafisa Collier has established herself as one of the league's premier two-way players. The WNBA's depth of talent has never been stronger. Ultimately, professional sports are shaped by audience interest. Fans choose which games they watch, broadcasters respond to viewership, and sponsors invest where they see the greatest engagement. That reality presents both an opportunity and a challenge for the WNBA. The league must continue celebrating its many elite stars while also recognizing the extraordinary attention Caitlin Clark has brought to women's basketball. Finding the right balance between showcasing the league as a whole and embracing one of its biggest commercial success stories remains one of the defining challenges of this era.
They are beating her because they are anti-white and they hate that she's better than them. I don't see how this could possibly be an accident. Caitlin Clark getting punched in the throat. This has happened a bunch of times to Caitlin Clark. It's been going on for years, actually, and we've shown compilations where they're just literally beating the crap out of her. Why isn't anything being done about it?
Opinions remain sharply divided. Some believe the criticism aimed at the WNBA has gone too far, while others argue the league has not done enough to address the recurring controversies surrounding Caitlin Clark. One thing, however, is difficult to deny. Nearly every Fever game featuring Clark now commands national attention in a way few could have imagined just a few years ago. That alone illustrates how dramatically the league's profile has grown. Not long ago, WNBA officiating rarely dominated sports talk shows or social media for days at a time. Today, television analysts, former players, podcast hosts, and millions of fans break down individual possessions from multiple angles, debating every whistle and replay as if each game were a championship matchup. In many ways, that level of attention is a sign of the league's growing popularity. Fans do not passionately analyze games they are not watching. As interest increases, so does the intensity of the conversation. Greater visibility inevitably brings stronger opinions, heavier scrutiny, and more criticism from every direction. The challenge moving forward is ensuring that those debates do not overshadow the outstanding basketball being played across the league each night. The WNBA has more star power, talent, and public attention than ever before. If the focus continues to drift toward controversy instead of competition, the same question will keep resurfacing. Is the league making the most of this unprecedented moment, or is it allowing distractions to overshadow one of the biggest opportunities in its history?
Like goes when she don't play, attendance drops, viewership drops, money gonna drop. All I'm saying is, when Michael Jordan was the man, the NBA made sure, all right, we can't be doing the Pistons. Y'all can't be doing it to him no more. Give me another star, LeBron. Right? They made this whole big thing about him going to different teams, all that. It's the king. Let's put that shit underneath the rug. So when you got a star player like that, I go even better. Quarterbacks in the NFL, they hurt Tom Brady's knee. From now on, no more. You can't tie the quarterback by their knees. That's dead, bro. If you don't take care of the young GOAT, what the hell is going to happen to the WNBA?
Or has the league unintentionally made an already difficult situation even more challenging? As the season moves forward, every controversial whistle, replay review, and nationally televised Indiana Fever game is likely to add another chapter to this ongoing discussion. Whether the WNBA finds a way to shift the focus back to the basketball itself, or whether the debate continues to grow louder, could become one of the defining storylines of the season. What makes this conversation especially noteworthy is that it has expanded far beyond social media. It is no longer driven solely by passionate fans debating calls online. Major sports media personalities who typically focus on the NFL, NBA, and college football are now dedicating significant airtime to WNBA storylines. That shift alone reflects how much the league's national profile has evolved. Only a few years ago, a controversial regular season WNBA game might have made headlines for a day before fading from public attention. Today, a single physical play involving Caitlin Clark can dominate sports discussions for days, with analysts, former players, and fans revisiting every angle of the sequence. That level of visibility brings unprecedented scrutiny. Nearly every notable play involving Clark is replayed repeatedly, slowed down, zoomed in, and debated across television, podcasts, and social media. Every decision is examined from multiple perspectives, often producing as many opinions as there are viewers. In that environment, officiating becomes an exceptionally demanding responsibility, with every call subject to instant review and widespread public analysis. The challenge for officials is not only making the correct decision in real time but doing so while knowing millions of people will spend the following days evaluating every frame of the play.
I really think that Caitlin Clark needs to leave the WNBA because these people don't realize that everything that they're getting now, all the more money they're getting, the league minimum used to be like $78,000. Now the league minimum for the WNBA is $300,000, with the highest being $1.7 million. And so I think the highest used to be like $150,000 would be the best you can make. Now it's up to $1.7 million. And did you know Caitlin Clark's not even in the top 25?
So you think she should go to the EuroLeague where they can make up to $4 million?
Yep, I think she should. She is the one that brought all these new eyes on.
Basketball unfolds at an incredible pace, forcing officials to make split-second decisions while thousands of fans react in real time. Every possession is captured by multiple cameras, replayed from several angles, and instantly shared across social media, where every whistle is analyzed before the game has even ended. That reality helps explain why officiating remains one of the most demanding roles in professional sports. Even so, perception can be just as influential as the calls themselves, especially in a league experiencing rapid growth. If a significant portion of the audience believes officiating lacks consistency, that perception can become part of the story regardless of what the statistics ultimately show. Fans want confidence that every player is being judged by the same standard. When that trust begins to weaken, each close call risks creating another wave of debate. That is one reason Stephanie White's post-game remarks attracted so much attention. Coaches are generally cautious when discussing officiating, knowing that public criticism can bring fines or other league consequences. Choosing to speak out after a game naturally draws additional attention, whether or not others agree with the assessment. Her comments quickly became another focal point in the broader conversation about officiating consistency, player safety, and how the league should handle highly scrutinized situations moving forward. As those discussions continue, the WNBA faces the challenge of ensuring that the spotlight remains on the quality of play rather than recurring debates over officiating. With more fans, larger television audiences, and greater national interest than ever before, every controversial moment now carries far more visibility than it would have only a few seasons ago. That growing attention presents an opportunity for the league, but it also means that every major decision will be examined more closely than ever.